Today on the Wrestling Roundtable, the Royal Rumble, No Way Out, and the best and worst celebrity appearances. Welcome to the Wrestling Roundtable. As you could see, there's been some changes since last we spoke, about a month or so ago. In that time, WrestlingRoundtable.com is finally opened, and that's got a lot of features for you, the fans, because we've said this is your show too. A lot of options for you if you go to WrestlingRoundtable.com. We've got a lot of columns, TV show recaps by Chris Harris, guest columns if you want to send something in. We answer your mail. There's a message board where you can sign up and discuss things on the show or whatever your heart chooses to. And we've also got a shop. And available on the shop, our first item is the Wrestling Roundtable t-shirt. Available in sizes medium through double extra large. And before you ask about the symbol on the back, the handprint, that is the term mark. The term mark comes from the carnival days in early wrestling history when the carnies, who is W.C. Fields in my explanation, is, "Come up, chickadee, and my hand is covered with chalk so I can mark you." And all the other promoters can see that this guy's a sucker and make money off of you. So the point is, don't be a sucker. Support the show, and we're going to go into the Royal Rumble, the first pay-per-view of the year, after our introductions, of course. Sitting to my left, which is your right, is Rodney LeConte. Lawrence Haber to my right, which is your left. And joining us once again is our old buddy, Zach Lippman. I wanted to ask you first about the Royal Rumble, because the last Royal Rumble you saw was the one we went to in the Wachovia Center in January of 2004, and we all know who won that and everything. But you haven't seen a Royal Rumble since then, so this is your first in 5 years. What's your impressions of the product?
I feel like if it was possible, wrestling has fallen down a notch. I was just waiting to see the new Benoit, he who should not be named, who they don't push, but he's really good. I didn't really see that guy. I saw a lot of Bradshaw, Kozlov, or whatever his name is. All this garbage. Triple H is still in the main event. He's in the top three. Randy Orton, who's boring. Friggin' Undertaker is garbage. Chris Jericho, who's fucking... Ugh.
So, is there not much of a difference? We haven't progressed very far.
We've devolved a little bit.
Devolved.
Well, to say the least.
I thought the main match, the Royal Rumble match, was the funnest that it's been in years.
I think it was the best one that we saw since so far.
Yeah, it was fun this year, wouldn't you say? The match, the Royal Rumble match?
I think the Rumble's always fun. I mean, maybe one out
Not
of
in
every
99
10.
it wasn't.
Yeah, but it's as a general premise, you always look forward to it, and it's always
sure,
fun.
yeah.
But,
The
you know?
body of it, though, when we got the guys like MVP and Carlito come in, we have to explain to Zach, these are the guys that everybody likes, but
Yeah.
they
But
don't
they'll
push.
never push,
These are
right?
your new-
Who is the guy like Borat? Oh, you're gonna love him. Oh, he's out in 5 seconds. Oh, that explains
Said,
it.
you know,
Yes.
second year in a row they do that with him.
You're
That
gonna
was like
love
clockwork,
him.
yeah.
You're gonna love this guy.
Well, for those couple seconds that they got to do their couple spots.
I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, it was fun. But then it gets down to Triple H and the Legacy. Now, we
and
all...
Taker before that with him, right?
cares?
Well, no, it's always the same thing is what
Yeah.
he's saying. It's always the same
Taker Big
tease.
Show.
Yeah,
Not-
the
not
last
hard to
3
know.
Rumbles that Triple H was in, he was in the last 3 guys. So, come on, really? Do you still need to see that again? And he hasn't won.
Yeah.
Okay, now we all knew Randy Orton was going to win. But it comes down to him
I
and
was
his...
shocked.
Yeah, him and his gang up on Triple H. And, of course, Triple H dominates them all, and Randy Orton comes in from behind because he has to. He can't beat him on his own. But what if they ganged up on him like the pack of wolves that they were supposed to be? And as they're going to throw him out, DiBiase, let's say, because we know they have a hard-on for him, threw Orton out.
Without Viagra.
That would be a surprise.
Did they just not take risks on anything anymore?
You know what? As we said on the show in the past, everything's so formulated and structured, and they are going to shove Orton down their throats. Any possibility. He hasn't won a Rumble yet. Hey, what's there to lose with Orton in their eyes?
And not only that, but they have to meet these quotas that they have. Like, Orton hasn't won a Rumble, and we're pushing him this year. But see, you're talking about a risk. I love that because it's really more beneficial than the equally stupid risk of banking everything on this failure that is Randy Orton over and over again. And look what the match that it leads to. Triple H and Orton again and again and again. And it's a heel chasing the title. And it's a guy who's already been champion very recently. I mean, he lost it at Backlash last year, so it's less than a year that his big finally, like, people on the internet are talking about this Orton push like it's never happened before.
Exactly.
Like, oh, you know what? He really is good. We finally get it. Yeah, this is cool now.
Him and Triple H fought for the same belt last year at WrestleMania.
They fought twice on one show for the belt.
Forget that. First of all, I don't know if you
Right.
can call Randy Orton a failure. He is one of the most over guys they have, and he's one of the top
Anyone
sellers
given
on
that
top.
push. Anyone given that push.
Perhaps.
I think
would
that's
have
just by
that.
default.
Yes.
But you're talking about last year. The guy was champion for the first time 5 years ago, coming up this summer.
And they took
And
it
who
off him
did
in
you
a
listen
month.
to?
The last
They
time
took it
I
off-
And who did he lose the belt to?
They took it off him in a month. They have no plan, and it's always Edge and Orton. It's been Edge and Orton for like ever now.
They did have a plan with Christian, and McMahon was like, Plan B.
Cover the ring!
And then Matt Hardy turned heel.
Which is fine enough. Matt Hardy is not going anywhere. The stuff is bland. But that turn was due. He's never had the really big
Again.
heel turn on Jeff. Right, but in the
That was
modern
terrible.
context where Jeff's the champion now and he finally gets his jealousy out on him, you could go somewhere with that. But again, to do it as a backup because, oh my God, they found out that Christian's coming back.
When I saw it, I was just like, really? I would have much rather seen Christian come back and do it.
Right.
At least satisfy the fans who are waiting for it.
The fans who were chanting for it.
All three of
Yes.
them.
What is the point of going against what you have planned just to fool the people?
They're stupid,
the
and there's
worst
no
thing-
creativity. We were talking at the time, like the beginning of the match. They have Eddie Guerrero's widow come out, who I thought was pretty good, and they make it into a no disqualification or whatever. So then Chavo comes out. Oh no, Chavo! I'll just wait over here on the side of the apron. Like they would never do something like have him attack from the get-go, and then Jeff Hardy overcomes him, and you could do anything, and they don't. It's always like this.
It's always, there happens to be a chair in the ring, and he picks it up. They had that reaction like, yay, it's Matt Hardy. Oh my God! I mean, that was like even where we were at Hooters, we were like, "Come on, you all saw that guy?" I was like, "Yeah, just do it already." They did the same thing in the Cena JBL thing with the Michaels thing, where it's a tease: who's he gonna hit? What's he gonna do?
He hit both of
and I
them.
called that thing in succession. That is what was gonna happen. You can't keep doing the big angle in every match. It just takes away from all of it.
Speaking of where we were, biggest pop of the night.
Rob Van Dam.
Oh,
Rob
right.
Van Dam.
That's
Yes.
Well, we never
yes.
do anything with him. Like, ugh.
It was just, refreshing to see him come back.
It is rather sad that the biggest pop of the night goes to a guy who's not even with the company, got over years ago, and they didn't even push all the way then. And you knew it was a one-time thing. He does that shit all the time. But someone, speaking of Matt Hardy, that opened up the show, the current ECW champion, Jack Swagger is a guy who actually has real potential. What if he had won the Rumble? Why can't they just take the risk on somebody, even someone they have invested in, like DiBiase?
Then they could always lose it to Triple H at No Way Out.
It always ends with Triple H getting the title, and that's how we're going to end this segment, because when we come back, we're going to talk about No Way Out in the Elimination Chamber matches when we come back from this break.
Acclaimed by reviewers and film festivals around the world, it is one of the great documentary films of our time. Now, the 10th anniversary collector's edition of Hitman Hart, Wrestling with Shadows, the story of the epic real-life battle between Bret Hart and Vince McMahon. And as a special offer never before released on DVD, The Life and Death of Owen Hart, exclusively available on this double DVD 10th anniversary collector's edition. The Life and Death of Owen Hart, the story of a real-life tragedy in a world where making money trumps everything.
Vince McMahon has always had this mentality about treating wrestlers like circus animals.
You never dreamed something like that could happen in wrestling.
Order the 10th anniversary collector's edition of Hitman Hart, Wrestling with Shadows, and the Life and Death of Owen Hart, and you will also receive 2 added features: a new interview with Bret Hart, looking back 10 years later, and an interview with the film's director, Paul J. Order this double DVD set now for only $24.95. Order now online or by phone at 866-396-4231. $24.95 plus shipping and handling. Order now.
Welcome back to the Wrestling Roundtable. Oftentimes in the past, when we've done pay-per-view recaps or given our thoughts, A lot of people think that we're just being way too negative and the product just doesn't plain suck. But we're not negative people. We're trying to be positive, and we're always going to look on the bright side. And to give you an example that you people are wrongly judging us, I'm going to read you a list of things in the past year that we've done the first season of the pay-per-views we saw for WWE, at least one positive thing for every show, okay? For the Royal Rumble last year, it was awesome seeing Michael Buffer. It was cool to see him, and it was kind of weird because it sounded like Nitro. But also, of course, we know Cena's return, the surprise was really cool. It was really awesome. For No Way Out, the finish to the SmackDown Elimination Chamber I thought was really strong, with Undertaker reversing the tombstone from Batista into the ring. That was very cool. And also the Mayweather Big Show segment. No one saw that coming. I was on my feet. I thought that was fantastic. For WrestleMania, I enjoyed Kane squashing Chavo. I thought that was very funny. Ric Flair's retirement, of course, we know that was a very wonderful moment from the entrance until the exit. Cena's entrance with the band was very cool. And on another positive, Chris did not die in the pyro explosions. For Backlash, we didn't have to pay for it. That's a positive. For Judgment Day, Beth Phoenix had a three-way with Melina and Mickie James. And she did a double backbreaker with both of them on her shoulders. You may remember that spot. That was very impressive. That's it. One Night Stand, Beth Phoenix and Melina had one of the best women's matches I've seen in years, maybe ever. It was very fantastic. The Night of Champions, every title was defended. Can you imagine that's a gimmick for a pay-per-view now?
It used to just be every pay-per-view.
Yeah, like, wow, every title's defended. What a novelty. But aside from that, Kofi Kingston beating Jericho for the Intercontinental title made him and the belt seem special again for about 15 seconds. For SummerSlam, the Cena-Batista match I thought was actually pretty strong. I thought it was good. And not only that, the follow-up, where they both subsequently got injured. Cena had the surgery, Batista tore another muscle like he always does. But I like the way that they handled it when they tied it into that match, where they said they both destroyed each other so bad they were feeling these lingering effects. And
can't wait for the rematch.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they'll do it as soon as they possibly can. And also, Glamorella winning the women's and intercontinental title match. That was
great
very
when
good.
she carried him out.
Yeah. We skipped a bunch. We didn't see Unforgiven, No Mercy, Survivor Series. We did see Armageddon, and I hate to say it, but the Rey Mysterio Punk match was probably the best match of the night. It was pretty good. And also, Laura was our waitress, and she was pretty hot. That's about the extent of the positive things I could say for that. And I don't even know if I could stretch it out for this pay-per-view. What do you guys think about No Way Out?
I feel like I'm the anti-WWE hater around here. I'll bring the positive. I actually enjoy Randy Orton. I like stuff him and Shane McMahon do, but then again, I love everything Shane McMahon does.
You've seen him do the exact same match for 10 years.
And it's great every time he does it.
Still entertaining.
It is. Shane's great. All the passion. It's the only real angle they have going on right now. That's it.
I like the chamber matches. I thought that they were both, had a lot of great action, a lot of cool spots. Edge being eliminated right off the bat was exciting because, you're guaranteed a new champ. Yeah, it's very surprising.
Who saw that coming?
But then the way that they got him into the Raw chamber, even though that was a great match, just the way that they got him in was kind of, I didn't really buy it.
The Rey Mysterio performance in that Raw chamber was unbelievable. Mm-hmm. The stuff with him and Edge was great. That should have been the match those two had at Royal Rumble 2008. Mm-hmm. Those two were great. The one match I don't get why everybody seems to be crapping all over is Jack Swagger and Finlay. I didn't think it was that bad.
No, but there wasn't ladders and flipping around.
Yeah,
well, I don't think that it was bad, but
it wasn't good either.
It wasn't one of their better matches.
No, it wasn't
They've
one of
had
their
better matches
but
on Tuesday night.
Everybody seems to say, worst match of the night. Orton versus Shane. I just didn't get it. It was terrible.
It was a classic hardcore match. It was brought me back to old school.
Oh, for the plunder.
A 40-something-year-old man beating up an Abercrombie and Fitch model is not my idea of good
Randy
match.
Orton's the best heel we've got in a long time around here.
Maybe I'm crazy. Some people do, but I didn't think the chamber matches were that special. I feel it's to the point where they've been doing this almost 7 years. I feel they've almost pretty much exhausted everything they've done in the cage. It seems like the same match every time to me.
Well, with the idea of the Elimination Chamber, originally it was this monstrous injury-causing structure. But now it's like they have it every year, so it's
everybody knows what
they
to
didn't
expect.
leave any room for innovation.
Yeah.
You can't get it. They even did with the weapons last year, but we pretend that never happened.
There was room for something good to happen, and that would have been Mysterio winning, which would have been, again, something new and something different. But we all knew Edge was going to win just from the angle they did alone. Why can't they just take that risk? It would have made it so much better. To say nothing about the fact they've never mentioned that those two were former tag champs, but I'm past that point
Yeah.
where I'm expecting that at all.
Who remembers that?
Right.
Well,
But
we all do. I guess that's the point.
Shawn Michaels and JBL had their match, and once again, Shawn Michaels did the Daniel Killer crossface. It's pretty appropriate that he's so religious because maybe he'll get to heaven someday, and Daniel will walk up at the pearly gates.
Just
What the
bitch
fuck?
slapping.
Kick him in the balls, and he'll take a back bump into limbo. One thing I want to mention is, and I hate when they make me defend people that I don't even like, when it gets to the point where they're just completely taking their eye off the ball on things. Why is it that there was no Christian or Matt Hardy on this entire show?
It's just baffling.
Yeah.
Weren't those some pretty big angles they had just
Oh,
You're
done?
waiting
yeah.
for it, and then it ended, and you're like, huh.
Yeah, a backstage segment, nothing. With Christian, who would have returned, what, 4 days earlier? 5 days earlier?
It's easy. All you have to do is have him on the aisle watching the Jack Swagger match. If they're building up to Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy at WrestleMania, at least try and cost them the chamber match or keep it in your mind.
something.
Yep.
You wouldn't have even known. It's almost like they forgot about it. Same for Christian. Why did they feel the need? And this is, like I said, I've seen these sort of matches so many times before. It just seems like they've run out of ideas. They did the exact same thing with Kurt Angle a couple years ago that they did with Cena. The biggest name in the match comes in and gets bitched like that.
Well, you know what I did like about it, which of course you're gonna make this face at me again. The way that Cena got eliminated. Everybody in the match got their shot in, and that's how you put the big dog down.
That's cute.
Like, you know, Jericho hit his code breaker, Mysterio hit the 619, Edge hit the whatever he does. The
On your biggest star in the match, though.
Yeah,
And they've
take-
already done that
You gotta
before.
take 3 or 4 people to take him down.
If you really want to set up WrestleMania with these two, why not have it come down to those two?
That's not what they
It
do.
adds a little bit more to it.
Just accept it. It's not gonna happen.
I think it added to Mysterio's, performance to be left with two heels at the end. Edge came out. We know he's going to win, but Mysterio really had me believing that, he might actually pull it off. And with, Cena out of the way, I think it made it more exciting. Not saying that it's right to do that to your top star, but at least it serves some sort of purpose.
Credit to Mysterio for pulling it off and making it seem somewhat dramatic. But I'm glad you mentioned finishers because one thing, if there was a positive in my point of view, we're not anti-WWE, we're anti-sucking. One thing that I thought was good in the undercard, outside of the Elimination Chamber matches, when the person hit a finisher, it was a finish.
Done.
I don't care about seeing Triple H and Undertaker jerk each other off at the end of the chamber by kicking out of each other's finishers. I like seeing Swagger hit the Dr. Bomb and pinning him. I like seeing the RKO once hit the guy and pin him. I'm sick of that
Especially
sort
on
of the residue of the Attitude Era bullshit. We're going to be moving on to the best and worst celebrity appearances in wrestling. So when we come back, we're going to talk about the best first.
They don't even realize, like, they put, like, in that chamber, the Raw chamber, they had Jericho and Edge, who've been doing, like, the same character for a year, and everybody loves it. And they didn't even say, like...
Interact.
They didn't even,
Well, they
like,
weren't in the same match. Oh, yeah, they were.
They
Never
didn't
mind.
even do, like, they did, like, one spot where he, like, clotheslined him. I was like, wow, it's a big fucking deal. They could have had a WrestleMania match.
Like
Edge and Jericho.
face-off or something.
Yeah, people might
You're not gonna have a
like,
heel WrestleMania match.
But those two are so over as heels, you know?